Welcome to Open Doors English Fellowship, the only non-denominational English service in Izal. Thank you for tuning in. Be blessed.
Open Doors Fellowship members, we're never going to get angry again. I'm kidding. We're going to get angry, but we're going to be able to control it, right? So let's start. Anger tends only to evil. We did this last week, and I think it calls for a second shot at it. So anyway, we named it kind of like anger management. And so we'll just do a brief recap, maybe 5 minutes. All right. We took the word from Romans chapter 12, verse 2, where it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world." The pattern of this world are, we all know it. And among them is anger. Anger is a natural thing. It is not abnormal to be angry. So if you don't get angry, we said, see a doctor. Let him make you be able to be angry. All right. So kind of like that. But we don't want to be normal, right? We want to be above normal. We want to be above average. And so we should learn to control that emotion, that anger. If we can control that, it's really good. Anger is a natural human emotion, and it's often triggered by feeling threatened, frustrated, or wronged. And there are a lot of reasons to get angry. Anger, while a natural emotion, can have several harmful effects. It can cause anxiety, heart disease, sleep disorder, short lifespan, respiratory diseases, eating disorders, stroke risk. Nobody wants this, right? Depression and low immunity. And so we're going to learn how to control it. And this Proverbs 17:14 states that the beginning of strife is like letting out water, meaning that even a small disagreement can quickly escalate into a full-blown conflict. That's the flood, if not addressed early. It advises to stop contention before it breaks out into a quarrel, just as one would stop a leak in a dam before it causes a destructive flood. Okay? We got some Bible verses telling us not to act out of anger. It doesn't say don't be angry. It says control it. All right? And here are 3 verses from Psalm, Ecclesiastes, and Ephesians. They're all saying don't act out of anger. All right? Now, if we go to the next one, the Bible is not just telling us, control your anger. Don't act out of anger. It is telling us how we should be able to control this, urge to hit people or, swear. Use all the words that you're thinking of right now. Okay? The Bible is not just directing or ordering or commanding us. It is telling us how to. And the best way is, as we said earlier, is by humbling ourselves. Humility evades us from acting out with anger. And also, to have a thankful heart, also, we should pursue peace. So we're moving really fast. Now, from here, it's the part 2 of controlling anger, or anger management, or anger only tends to evil. We all know and heard from the verses that it only leads to evil. So that is why the Bible is very concerned about everyone not to act out of it, because it leads to evil. And now I want to ask you questions again. It's going to be interactive, and we're going to have worksheets today. We might get into groups. Now, see this picture? Yeah, nobody's blind, right? All right, Dennis, let me ask you, which would you choose? Life, right? Okay, who would choose death? Nobody. Good. Why did I show you this? This is so simple, right? But look, God is so good. You know what? He gives us only 2 choices. One, go to hell, or the other, you can go to heaven. There's no midway. All right? If he behaves in such a way, he's going to this heaven. And if he does at least 5 out of the 10 commandments, he'll go to heaven number 2 or something like that. There's nothing like that. It's just life or death. And do you know what? Your tongue, it is so powerful, okay? Your mouth. This is what is written in Romans chapter 10, the most famous salvation verse, I think. If you confess with the mouth, all right, with the mouth can't talk. The tongue needs to be involved. So if you confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, right, you can't just believe it. You have to confess it. You have to speak it out. It means it's not just like you go to a seminar or a crusade or anything and you go pray that prayer, the sinner's prayer. It's not just like that. It's good. It's the first step, but it means not to be ashamed of the gospel of Christ. Actually, Paul says we should be boastful of it. We should be proud of it. All right. And so our tongue is very, very important, and it can lead us to God. So bear that in mind. But you got to believe in the heart also. All right. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Very clear, with the mouth made unto salvation. You can't just keep God locked in your heart. You got to speak him out. And just like Jesus says, what is in your heart is what you will be talking about. So if you have Jesus in your heart, and the song, that song we sang, come live in me, eagle's wings, yeah. If we invite Jesus, and he surely will occupy our hearts. So we gotta talk Jesus, shout his fame. All right, and so here's a tongue. All right, so important. 1, 2, 3. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Okay, so we just witnessed before this that the confession of the mouth leads us to salvation, right? And here again in Proverbs, it is saying there is life and death in the power of the tongue. And so, and it doesn't just end there. It says, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Okay? It is like cementing the previous statement that there is life and death in the power of the tongue. Okay? And in verse 20, this is crazy. Okay? A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. So there's life and death in the power of the tongue, and those that love it are gonna reap its harvest. Okay, so here are a few more verses on the importance of your tongue, controlling your tongue. All right, when you are angry, it's the tongue that usually does, the first sin, I think. People don't usually just punch you, all right, but maybe they do sometimes. Without any words, any warning, the fist will come flying. It happens. But most of the time, it is verbal, okay? All those, bad words comes out of the tongue. And I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to read some of it, okay? Now, I'm going to read from Proverbs chapter 15, verse 4. The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. And where is that? In First Peter, it says, whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. And now you might be thinking, all this aren't, spoken by Jesus. But the last one, in Matthew, this is spoken by Jesus himself, the Master. In Matthew chapter 15, verse 11, it says, what goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them. It's not just, you don't just throw it from your mouth, but you speak evil and you We can do a lot of damage, right? So today we're gonna do some exercise, and it's a story. Now, can we have the printouts? But maybe you can see this. I wanted it to print out because I thought the fonts would be too small. Pain is not only physical, that's for sure, right? Come, please. Just in time. This is a very simple but very meaningful story. Short, very short too. All right, I'm going to start reading, okay? All right. There once was a little boy named Jonas who had a bad temper. One day, his father gave him a bag of nails and a hammer. Anybody heard this story before? Who? All right. Not my family, right? We've done this in the family devotion also. So, but anyway, one day his father gave him a bag of nails and a hammer. The father then asked Jonas to hammer a nail into the back of the fence every time he lost his temper. If he shouted or sulked, he was to drive one nail to record his reaction. Okay? Every time he acts out of anger, he's going to hammer one nail into the back of the fence. If his father or mother told him he must control his anger, he was to drive one nail into the fence. So even if he was reminded to control his anger, he was to drive one nail into the fence. At breakfast that day, Jonas fumed when he was asked to clean up the dishes, and he thought it was his little brother's turn. His father sent him to drive a nail into the fence, and at the end of the day, he found that he had driven 5 more nails into the fence. So how many nails has he driven that day? 6, good. Sharp minds. He was a bit surprised by this, and over the next few weeks, he tried with some success to reduce the number of nails he hammered into the fence. Soon he discovered it was easier to hold his temper than to drive those nails into the fence. Cool, yeah? Finally, yes, the day came when Jonas didn't lose his temper. He was thrilled to tell his father about it. As he shared this achievement, the father suggested that they now go ahead and pull out one nail for each day that he was able to hold his temper. The days passed and Jonas was finally able to eventually remove all the nails from the fence. Hallelujah. He was even more excited this time to share this new achievement with his father. As expected, the father was extremely pleased. He congratulated Jonas and told him how proud he was for this achievement. However, the father did not immediately take Jonas back inside. Instead, he led the boy to the fence and said, "You have done well, my son. I am proud of you for what you have achieved today. But look at the holes in the fence. They remain there forever. The fence will never be the same. Similarly, when you say things in anger, they leave a scar, just like this one. If you cut someone with a knife," the father began, "it won't matter how many times you say, 'I'm sorry.'" It's good to say sorry, but it's still going to leave a scar, right? The wound is still there, but a verbal wound is as bad as a physical one. Friends and loved ones are very rare jewels indeed. They make you smile and encourage you to succeed. And an enemy once made is a constant cause of tension and strain. Be careful what you say in anger. You won't create bad blood and you won't chase friendships away. The boy stood silently as he began to understand the value of the lesson his wise father had taught him. All right, so we're gonna do that. Eric and Kimmy, can you separate us into groups? At the back of the page, you will see there are some questions there. You don't actually need to write down your name and plus and phone number and all that, but there are a few questions there. Answer these questions in not more than 5 sentences, okay? No essay type, please. Nobody has time. All right, how many groups are we going to be in?
5 groups.
5, all right. Can you just, we'll explain what we will discuss as we get into our groups, all right?
Okay.
Okay, here. So we'll start. There are four questions there, and the first one is, what is the lesson of this story? You can add your own thing. From this story, maybe you thought up of something about what you have actually done in your past or something, and you can even write that. And what does this line, "a verbal wound is as bad as a physical one," mean? What does it mean to you? All right, not necessarily what you think the author meant, but what does it tell you? And this one, take a moment to reflect on whether you spoke harshly to someone recently. Okay, did you leave any wounds on others? If so, how? All right, what did you say? Now, why I wrote this is it even worth writing down? If we think about the things we say to others, you know, if we think back on them, we would see how foolish we were. And why does the author say friends and loved ones are very rare jewels indeed? Okay, that's what you have to discuss. Okay, and you're not gonna have too much time. You're gonna have like 20, not more. All right, now get into the groups. All right, the prize. Priest wants something. I think the group did so well. Anyway, the prize is you have learned to control your anger. So you're gonna be blessed. All right. Who wants to go first? I choose four.
Thank you. Okay, so four questions we have, and the first is, what is the lesson of the story? We in our group discussion, which was we have Abby, Mimi, Manuni, and Rema in our group. So we said so the lesson of the story is to control our anger, to control our tongue, and also that anger can have long-term consequences. And number two, what does a line of verbal wound is as bad as a physical one mean? So we said physical wound hurts the body, a verbal wound hurts the heart, but oftentimes a verbal wound can have longer consequences. And also it says in 1 Peter 3:15 that always be prepared to give answers with gentleness. We could be serving anywhere in the world in ministries, but so we have to be careful in the way we use our words, and and also that the and also to resist the devil we have to submit to God. So it's like and which implies humility, and to battle against anger we have to always succumb to humility. And number three, to reflect the number three, we did reflect on our like the times that we had left some wounds on others, but we won't be sharing this time because it's pretty embarrassing. And number four, what does the author say? Friends and loved ones are very. I think friends and loved ones, the people who really love us, are the ones who rebuke us, who scold us. So these are and still stay with us and protect us. So these are the real rare jewels that we need in our lives, and we have to sustain them in our lives. And also, it says in Leviticus 19:17, there could be questions that along the lines of, are Christians not to get angry at all, or if you're if you're angry, then that's not Christ-like. But in Leviticus 9:17 it says, rebuke your neighbors frankly, so that you don't share in the sins that they commit. So we have to be angry on wrong things that have been done wrong. So yeah, that's
Okay. Now your question is,
yeah.
how is it? I mean, what is the best way to control your reaction?
My reaction.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be answering it?
Yes.
Oh,
That's for you.
I think what do most of the time is I just shut up and sorry, I keep quiet. and I have this internal conversation with the Holy Spirit. What do I do? Do I say something? What would be the best thing to say? I have so many things on my mind to to say, but is it the right time or should I walk away? And I always get the answer.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Group number 1.
So Eric summed it up quite well. I will answer it. I will go from question number 1. The lesson of the story we discussed in a way, in a particular way. We go one by one, and it was very good how we each answered our questions. And to sum it all up, the story gives us a lesson in controlling our anger in a way that is harmless, and how controlling our anger is important in our lives, as well as to us and our neighbors. I will quote Matthew 22:39. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbors as yourself. Rất trong sân giống đông này, thay hiện cần lâu sợi hôm nào chọn bôi một cái thịt lao em à, cần thiêu tôm để cần hành share ra anger chúng ta question number 3 nên hiện cần hành thuần giống à, cần thiêu tôm để cần hành sợi liếm để mà cần thiền rim là cần lâu chết cho bôi mà gì à để cần sợi cho cả thì hành in control đàn chập bể này cần share để cần hành sợi hoa. Matthew 22:39 here on Langsok le China. And second is you shall love your neighbors as yourself. Ke mani kai mangai ang pokin midang te kan mangai turani aron tia midang te kan ke mani kan mangai midang te kan mangai chuan kan chunga thil tha lo thlen kan du lawa chudeng bok chuan midang te chunga kwa thil tha lo thlen kan du lo do ni chu chudeng bok chuan question number 3. Did you leave any wounds on others? He told no. Puya.
Really?
So the second question, what does the verbal line? A verbal wound is as bad as a physical one. Yeah, a verbal wound is as bad as a physical one. Good more. Kan chang literal log lu ka. Number 4, I think I'll let so why does the author say friends and loved ones are very rare to similar on some of traffic many for him. Can school tele can chente min mangai tak tu te until lo chon kan thero an mani hi min mangai ber tu te nia an nin min mangai lo chon an ni kan mangai lo bok chon midang va mangai tu ran lo wa midang kan bak mangai the hek lo he relationship kha chu lo da bo ri tai lo midang ba mangai thu de mo khang khau the lo is so wa midang te kan mangai na kan va ne tin lo so tia chu ta bok chuan Matthew 22 thau karon lang le ni chu ke mani kai mangai am bok midang te kan mangai chuan ni midang zong kan bula bi yom so ma te kan chung ten lo ni ta hey kingdom ma chuan we are all family mo tiang kan lo samak ta ni chu.
Okay, thank you, Sama. He was saying if we have love for each other, then we may be able to control our anger, something like that, right? But actually, love, it doesn't help you, control your anger. Supposing God forbid, but if my wife was hanging out with, I don't know, how will I react? You get it? So it's more on how you react to a situation, all right? Anyway, group number 3.
Controlling anger management ng pangkanida pero dito anin ilaway mo dito bakit sa obedience kandir sa akin afapaten apatuan o mema tiro at ikan ba timaya perek ba suro antia tsubaya พอเดี๋ยวเราอาจารย์พอแม่ใครเตะค่ะโมเอเมมาobedience และ humility กันเจอความสายสวรรค์ส่วนนี้ question number 2 อาจารย์ what does the line a verbal wound is as bad as a physical one mean ให้พอฮีสวยตัวกันดาวงาตลางอ่ะให้กันสวยประคับซิงไม่สู้ให้ mental stress can lead to heart attack มั่วอันไม่ติดค่ะเกี่ยมันนี่กรุ๊ปกันที่ตัวนักจังคานินอาจารย์ไม่มาดิฉันกันจงมิจงอินมิจกันจงกำชัวแค่กันทิ้งลงทุ่งมีทิ้งลงทุ่งให้เราเทียมนั่นสัตย์แค่นั้นเราเทียมชี้นั่นดีค่ะอีไร question number 2จังหันกันเจอชัวค่ะที่ตัวนี้ชื่อพอหันินให้ได้กันกลุ่มเมมเบอร์บักขัดขานินมันนี่อาทิตย์ต้นขาเราสวยปกะเงี้ยน้าวเรามันนี่สุกันน้าวกับฮาวาสุดที่คดีให้มันนี่เราเงี้ยมันนี่หัวเล่นน้าบางมีดังข้ากับหัวยามาที่ไลฟ์ข้าศึกษานี่ให้ได้ให้กันเราสวยเบลตุปกะสุมันนี่เงี้ยอุชิโกสเตตัสเนี่ยมันนี่ก็เชียร์บักขัดสุก็เชียร์บักขัดมีให้กันที่มาที่อายกันด่าสูงดุนโจกแต่บุหรี่กันทิ้งยังไงกันช่วงก็ไม่เอาหนิจูมีฮีกันไงสารเปล่าเลยอันบุหรี่กันให้ humility กันช่วงเนี่ยแม่มากันไงเฮียมแต่บุหรี่จะเห็นกันทิ้งมีแต่กันเราทิ้งจนคุ้มงำชิ้นนี่จูให้มิจฉาว่ากัน chief minister ที่บุหรี่ปนเองที่อังคบปนมินเรา look down มาเซ่โอเลสาร์กันที่หมดเท่านี่จูกันช่วงกันเกี่ยมันนี่อายช่วงกันด่าชินบางคันขมีเราข้าก็เชื่อเรื่องนี้นะมีฮีด่าเฮียมเราเวลาที่ส่วนนี้ให้จงกำป่วยกันเราอุลุกเชียนี่ซูที่ส่วนจุดส่วนนี้กันเราเทียมตานี่ป่วยเงี้ยให้กันเราเทียมข้าให้ guilt และ conviction ให้นั่นเสียมาขมีตักขานินให้มิสกิมีขันเราสวย reconciliation มั่วแค่เราเทียมให้มาช่างอินเงี้ยไงดำนะขมีค่ะกันดีลเงี้ยไงดำดีลข้าเชลเราวิลาสที่ข้ากันเราสวยเลยตัวปกติที่ส่วนนี้ number 4 why does the author say friends and loved ones are very religious indeed ที่ไรที่ ให้แต่ฮันเนี่ย answer ยกมาละ they make you smile and encourage you to succeed ที่ไรเตี้ยฮันกันเราช่างฮันเลย
All right, yes, one more question. Okay, I'll baca ko sa lot. Me in, right? Someone is saying you stole her money and it was a lie. Okay, you didn't steal it. How would you react? You have to react.
ทุดิกซุยนะใช่ไหมอย่างเดียว
All right, very good, very good.
Okay, I think the other leaders pretty much summed up what everyone else is thinking anyway, and we felt when we saw the questions, our group honestly thought it's kind of obvious, all the answers. And the thing is, with anger, we all know the correct way we're supposed to react, but we just don't do it, But going to the questions, what is the lesson from the story? We said, obviously, refrain from anger, do not act out. Prevention is better than causing the wounds and the hurt in the first place. Urama also mentioned godly anger management, and we asked him what that meant, and he said it's kind of obvious, don't you think? And then we're like, okay, fine. Second question, a verbal wound is as bad as a physical one. What does that mean? Not to repeat what the previous guy said, but Briss mentioned that we are all emotional and physical beings, Uramanen, and words can hurt. And Valeria also mentioned words can hurt, and they can also be used to uplift people as well. So be very careful with what you say, especially in that moment when you're just filled with anger. Take a moment to reflect on whether you spoke harshly to someone. There were people in the group who said no immediately to this question. They've been very good advocates of Christ's image in the past week, so there's no examples for so for those that did share, rather than recounting everyone else's experience, I think we more discussed of how we felt after the encounter and how we felt after those situations, and we realized that when we act out of anger, although it does hurt the other person, it also eats you up from the inside, and that's when you know that God is talking to you and telling you, what you did was wrong, and it takes a lot of courage to be able to admit that what you did in that moment was wrong, and that's when you have to ask God to humble you and to kind of let you accept that, okay, yes, you did wrong, but ask God to help you. And maybe if it's let's say a fight with a loved one or someone you really care about, you just have to ask God to help you and just to try to use words to rectify the situation as fast as possible. But the first one comes with accepting and being humble, to know that you are also wrong in that situation. You can be the right person in this situation where maybe your anger was justified, but the way you reacted to it could still be wrong in God's eyes. So you have to be very careful. What does the author say? Why does the author say friends and loved ones are rare jewels indeed? Should I quote Pris? Okay, fine. I'll paraphrase what she said. No one else is going to accept you for all the faults that you have. Because you could have a large circle in the beginning of your, let's say, teens to early 20s, but the older you get, the smaller that circle becomes. Why? Because the more people get to know you, the more your faults will come out, and then there's only a very few number of people that will accept you for who you are. That is why we say they're very rare jewels. And we also discussed how the rarest jewels are actually family, because they're the ones who know us the best emotionally, and words exchanged with them can hurt the most. So that is why, because they are such rare jewels in our lives, they're there with us no matter what situation we're in, whether we're angry at them or we're not. But yeah, that's why we have to be very careful, especially with family. That is all I can say from our discussion. Thanks.
To go yet? All right. The question is for Humi. What is easier to control? Your sudden burst of joy or your anger? Both sudden.
Sudden burst of anger. Which one is easier to control? Joy.
Right. Explain.
Because joy, if you're suddenly happy about something, let's say it's a situation that you never expected, it'll take time to process in your mind, and you're like, okay, this is happening, and then maybe it could bring tears to your eyes, maybe you could suddenly shout for joy, but with anger, you can't control it.
All right. She said with anger you can't control it. It's true, but that's for normal people, right? We're not gonna be normal. Amen. Okay? We're gonna be able to control that. All right. Roll number 5. Ano mo? Come, Mal. I think Mala is everybody's favorite. I wonder why. Is it his mustache or what?
Okay, I'll give it brief. So for number one, I think for ours, the moral of the story is that
That's one reason we all like it.
okay. I didn't write it down, so but yeah, we discussed, and it's mostly to do with like how we control, how it's possible to control our anger. Yeah, it's possible to control our anger. That's what we got from the story. And verbal wound is as bad as a physical one. So yeah, we made a lot of examples from the second question, like during school, when the teachers used to beat us, like it's like normal, like, but when they start scolding us or like stuff like that, it actually hurts more because we want to retaliate. So when they beat us with sticks, we didn't like retaliate, it was normal, but yes, some examples like that were given. Actually, I don't remember what others said, so those were my so number 3, yeah, we also didn't share much on this. I think we were good. We are like people of Christ or men of Christ. But we gave examples on how we overcame anger. Yeah, basically I gave a good example. And what does he also say? So yeah, our loved ones, they are very important, right? So
Keep them close.
yeah, we don't want to lose them, right? So, I mean, they are the ones who can hurt us the most. Like, so, yeah, that's it.
Shall I ask you a question?
Yes.
A hard one?
Yes.
I think I'll go easy on him, yeah?
Ask him too.
Okay, supposing, all right, there was a robber in your house. He's climbing in through the ventilator, and you saw him. What would your first reaction be? Help him down?
I would shout at him, I guess. No, I would try to chase him, yeah.
Come have some tea.
All right. Thanks, Mala. That was fun, I think. Did we miss any groups? Groups? No. Good. All right. Now I just wanna show you guys this. But can you please not read this now? Okay. I think we ought to do godly anger. All right. Do you know when Jesus went to the temple in Jerusalem? In Jerusalem, the temple in Jerusalem, and he was like mad. He acted out of anger. He was using that whip, and he was turning. Can I do an example on this? All right. He was totally angry. All right. Can we justify Jesus? As if we are, higher than him, justifying Jesus, But there was a time at the court, at Herod's court, and also at Pilate's court. He should be very, very angry. They were mocking him, punching him, blindfolded him and all that, and whipping him. He had the power to just give the word, and the angels, they would come rushing for his aid. But he didn't do that. He controlled it there. Why didn't he control it at the temple? I think we should do a godly anger session again, maybe sometime later, okay? So, all anger is not ungodly, all right? And your loved ones, like I said, they will be the ones who tell you to do things, who corrects you, who rebukes you, okay? Who shouts at you. And yet, it is saying, these are the rare jewels, okay? So, one thing is, we don't want to lose them. We don't want them, hurt. We are the ones who can hurt them the most. They are the ones who can hurt us the most. It's mutual, okay? Both ways. It goes both ways. So, it starts with you. Your relationship with your loved ones, your family, your friends. It starts with you. Because you have heard from so many verses in the Bible and the story, they might not have heard it. So you start controlling your anger, and your life will be better. All right? And once you are able to control that anger, okay, it is contagious. Seriously, okay? So here is what happens. This is what makes us angry. Like we used to make a post in Pride when we were regular. This is one of them. Ships don't sink because of the water around them, right? but ships sink because of the water that gets in them. All right? Have you heard? I've said this a couple of times, I think. You cannot prevent a bird from flying in the sky, but you can shoo it away if it's gonna nest on your head. You've heard me say that, right? So you have the power to control how things will affect your life. And when you are able to control that, the effects of whatever is happening around you, then you will be able to control your anger. And don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. You are the boss, right? Like, it's my life, yeah? So want the best for your life, want Jesus for your life, and you will surely learn how to control your anger. And here is another one, okay? From Luke chapter 6 verse 27 and 28, but to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. This is the verse from which this came out. It's okay to be hated. Let's keep this in our head. Not just in our head, but in our hearts. It's okay to be hated. It's okay to be cursed or to be sweared upon. All right? To be abused. It's okay to be mistreated. It's okay to be mistreated. It ain't okay to hate. It ain't okay. It ain't okay to curse. It ain't okay to mistreat. Okay? I think I acted out of anger there. Or was it frustration? Justifying my reaction there. Anyway, okay. That is what a Christian life is. It wasn't your intention, but they will be angry at you anyway because you did something, alright? You can't please everyone. But don't hate back. Okay? Because of that, you will be cursed. Alright? You might even be persecuted as a Christian in other places except in the Northeast. And you may be mistreated as well. But don't mistreat because you have been mistreated. Jesus was, there. I told you already, but he didn't do anything. That's holding your temper and controlling your anger. All right, we'll come to a closure. And I want to just read this again. Oh, it's here. Very good. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself, it tends only to evil. Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. All right, God bless you all. Thank you, and I think we had a great time, right? Discussing and presenting our findings here. So let's all praise God, and I will hand the microphone to the lovely Mimi. She will close the service for us.
Thank you, Pachiko.